Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Overwatch Friday. This is where I discuss issues in the gaming and tech world and talk about them while putting some Overwatch footage in the background. Mostly because I've gotta use that footage somehow. If you're wondering where the Cryptarch review is, it will be here on Monday. I just wanted a little bit more time with it at this point. Now, this will be a channel update, give you guys some information about what I'm looking at, and in particular, this month, what you guys can be involved in terms of which games I cover or what game design videos that I will do. Anyway, before I begin, I've got a giveaway from last time to take care of, and the winner of that giveaway is on the screen right about now. I thank everybody for entering. As for the person who won the actual game, I will contact you on Steam because no one seems to contact me when I tell them to contact me. It's the whole, you're watching videos, oh hey, I won, maybe I should actually talk to Dragnix. Or people just go away, which sort of makes me sad. Things are going to be a little bit different this time around for the channel, because I'm going to be giving away these games. Yes, I'm giving multiple games away, including a copy of Persona 5. Now, you may ask, why are you doing this, Dragnix? Well, yes, of course, to grow the channel, because that's what giveaways are for. But also to give you guys some credit for, coming to the channel and being involved, and to find out exactly what you want over the next 2 months. See, when I sat down to plan what I wanted to do for the next 2 months, because I do that from time to time, say, okay, these games are coming up, I'm going to write these developers, ask for a copy of the game, and when I looked over the next 2 months, it wasn't exactly a great selection of games. Yeah, you've got Splatoon 2, but I don't have a Switch yet. I'm supposed to get it at the end of July. There's games like Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, but I've already played that game and it's not necessarily one that I'm interested in replaying. And there's a bunch of smaller titles that aren't exactly appealing to me. Yeah, Absolver looks good, I'll probably cover that. Sonic Mania, yeah, that's pretty good. Agents of Mayhem, but honestly, nothing really jumps out at me like it does in September. I mean, in September, you've got Knack 2. Yes, I know, Knack 2. But you got Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. You guys know that I love the Danganronpa series, so of course I'll be covering that. You've got Cuphead. You've got Total War Warhammer. You've got Metroid Samus Returns, even though I don't have a 3DS recorder yet. There's a lot of games that I'm actually interested in that month. So the next 2 months are going to be up to you guys. So on the screen right now is a series of games that I could cover over the next 2 months. Now, there's also going to be a list of games that I could do game design videos on here. So what I'm going to ask you to do in order to enter this giveaway is simple. Write down the 3 games from each of the lists of what you want to see me do a video on and the reasons why, and put them in the comments section below. You do that, you're automatically entered into the contest. Hell, if you want to substitute one of those games on the list with something else, some other idea for a video, that's perfectly fine. Just as long as you have 3 from each list and reasons for why you want me to cover or do that game design video. Reasons are important because it shows that you put a little bit of effort into it. Okay, on to a general channel update. The channel is going okay. Now, again, I'm not doing this full time anymore. I do have a job. I do HVAC programming and various other things for a company. And when I can work on things, I do it during the night when I'm not playing Overwatch or trying to de-stress. Hell, for the first time in a long while, I actually took a weekend off in terms of not working on anything, just to sort of reset myself. The channel's at 3,300 subscribers. That's actually reasonable considering the fact that I haven't necessarily been able to put out content as often as I would like. Again, you have a huge review, especially the types of videos that I do. Of course, you're not going to be able to produce as much content if you're not working full time. But I have been averaging reasonably 1 review or 2 reviews every 10 days, which I think is pretty good considering all the time and effort I put into the reviews. As to the last couple of reviews, the Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls review was probably the most popular on the channel, and that's because I was the first one on Steam with a Steam review and a video review of the PC port. With that said, it didn't do as well as I hoped. My Danganronpa 2 review back when, I was the first person to get a review up for the PC port on that one as well, and that one did 2,000 to 3,000 views on that day. This one only really did about 300, even though the actual review itself, as you can see here, yeah, it got a lot of attention thanks to the Steam Summer Sale and some of the incentives of actually upvoting reviews. One thing I need to focus on, however, after looking at that review is trying to get that feedback from people. One of the comments, as you can see here, yeah, it was a very good comment. I rushed some of the review and I didn't look at my pronunciation, even for the Danganronpa portion, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong right now, but here's the thing, I really need to consider that when I'm doing the reviews. So that kind of feedback, especially this specific feedback right here, that's really helpful for me so that I can grow as creator. That, unfortunately, is very, very rare. Part of that has to do with the review formats themselves. When I'm doing a 40-minute review, a very detailed review, that can take a lot out of the viewer. That's a lot of information to process, and even though they might have, had a comment earlier in the video, they might have completely forgotten it by the end of it if they're watching it all the way through. So I've got to find a way to get that feedback, but I don't know how. As to the other videos over the last couple of months, they've done all right. I mean, you had the Persona 5 review, you had Neko Navy, you had the Danganronpa video, the Vanquish PC port report, the Strafe review, and honestly, many of them underperformed. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Dragnix, hold on a second. If I look at your Social Blade, you seem to do pretty well this month compared to the last couple of months in question. So what gives? Well, what gives is PS Plus. In particular, Neon Chrome. Neon Chrome was a free game given away on PS Plus in the month of June. And surprisingly, even though it's free for those members, that got a lot of hits on the PC review that I did over in 2016. That's surprising to me. I would think that people would just try the game. Maybe it's people thinking about getting PS Plus for that month and saying, okay, is it worth the cost? But it did actually sort of stand out in terms of the entire overall minutes watched. I mean, it's double the next one, as you can see here. And again, this is where things get really tricky when it comes to this channel. You look at these top 10 videos in terms of the analytics over the last 30 days. Do you see a pattern in terms of the games that I'm covering? Because really, I'm not. Yeah, there's a lot of Japanese-focused titles here, or more indie titles in certain cases. It seems to be a mixture of the two. But the thing is that, okay, let's take visual novels, for example. Okay, Danganronpa, you got Valhalla, you got another episode, kinda, sort of. But then you've got Ghost 1.0, you got Neon Chrome, you got Rabby Ribby. So you've got a lot of games in there, but I just can't see a pattern of exactly why people are being drawn to those games as opposed to other ones. Again, Persona 5 is a big game. Yes, people are going to look at it. And even the mid-level ones that I try to focus on that seems to be my wheelhouse, things like The Witch and the 100 Knight, that seems to be hit and miss as well. So again, even though I have these analytics, I don't know what to do with them. Any advice from people that can actually look at this and say, hey, you should focus on this? By all means, I will take that advice. I want to do more videos, and I want to maybe increase the amount of critical eyes that I do. The 15-minute, 20-minute review videos that maybe not necessarily have a score with the actual review, but give you all the information you need. Or hell, maybe have a score with the review and just make it a 20-minute version of it. Yes, there are certain games that I don't think the format of 40 minutes or 60 minutes makes a lot of sense for. It makes a lot of sense for Persona, Danganronpa, for example, just because of the amount of information in question. But when it came to Neko Navy, yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to go into a 40-minute tirade on that. I think that's one of the problems I have. I think when I take a look at my ukulele review, yeah, I gave a lot of detail there, but I do wonder how much of that information was necessarily useful for the consumer. I do think there were some interesting points that I made, there were some interesting game design elements, but when it came to actually purchasing the game, it really didn't make a difference of what I was talking about because I had already established the point in question. I have a tendency to ramble on certain elements and provide multiple examples, which I think is good, but good in the sense of giving you guys information. You guys can get information overload, and I'm wondering if some of my reviews are getting to that point. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still going to be long reviews on the channel. The Persona 5 review, for example, yeah, I like the length of that, even though it was an hour. I went into a lot of detail. There's 150 hours of gameplay there. I think it would be a disservice to it to just say in a 5-minute review, hey, this is my score, without giving some more information. Yes, I did a 5-minute review, but I also said, hey, look, if you need more information, here's an hour-long version of it. In addition, when I took a poll on Twitter of the types of videos you want me to do over the next couple of months, game design videos won that poll. Granted, there's only 15 to 16 people who actually voted in this poll, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt considering I have what seems to be around 200 people who normally watch these videos on a regular basis. The thing is, I do want to do more game design videos. I do want to finish up my Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild video on how some of the game design elements don't necessarily work, at least on my side of the fence. I want to do more game design videos, especially on Persona 5, because there were a lot of clever ways that that game got you immersed. So I will be focusing a little bit more on that, but again, those videos do take time. Those are good background videos. And if a certain game comes up in terms of review, like I get a code for, let's say, Danganronpa, another episode, I'm going to jump on that first because that has a time restriction on it. Hey, I need to get it out as soon as possible. The game design videos will come as they come. Now, one thing that I had sort of experimented with about 2 months ago was streaming, and to be honest with you, I just don't think it's the format for me. Yeah, there are some moments that can really work in terms of my interaction with the audience. Things like Killing Room was a really, really good interaction. It got some good laughs out of people, as well as giving them the information that they needed. With that said, it's just not the strength of my presentation style. I can joke around, and I joke around well in groups when I can work off of people, but when it comes to entertainment, and this channel isn't necessarily known for entertainment, I don't think I do a good job there. And especially when I'm trying to inform you guys on the fly, I can make mistakes, and that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to give you guys faulty information. Yeah, it may be realistic compared to what I'm looking at right now, but I can't go and double check. I can't go and triple check. And I don't want a viewer to get that impact of a game and say, oh, this game isn't for me because of what he said there. That's the last thing I want to do. Maybe sessions afterward. Maybe playing the game a little bit after I do a review so I can answer viewer questions. That could be an idea. Even though I am immersive in the reviews, sometimes, hey, people have a specific question. Did you check this? Did you check that? And that can be useful. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will, the next review I do, I will do a stream follow-up of some sort. As for the rest of the channel, I mean, really, I haven't paid attention to the Patreon. I haven't charged anybody for any videos. Honestly, I want to use the Patreon, and I want to keep it up only because, again, it could be a useful tool in getting those review copies. They see that people are willing to pay for the Patreon, and lo and behold, guess what? They're willing to give out a copy of the game. With that said, I don't feel comfortable asking you guys to pay for a video, especially when I am making, reasonable money on the side right now in terms of my main job. So it is sort of this conflict. Yeah, I'm working my ass off to get these reviews out. Yeah, it would be nice to be paid, but part of me just doesn't want to go through the struggle of doing the Patreon in certain cases. So I know that sounds a little bit weird to you guys, but it's sort of how I feel right now. I also want to get back to writing a tiny bit for TechRaptor. I haven't done that in a long while, and I really do feel guilty on that. I'm still technically an employee of theirs. I'm still not sure why I'm exactly not kicked out at this point. I do try to interact with them as much as I can, but between this and the job, it can be very, very hard to do so. But I really need to get back to writing because there have been topics that I wanted to write about from an editorial standpoint that I don't necessarily think needed the video part of it. Yeah, the video part could necessarily keep the audience engaged in certain ways, but when I'm talking about the mechanics of May and talking about quality control, I just don't necessarily think having that footage on screen is 100% required. As to my state of mind, I don't know. It is an interesting question that I pose myself is, how are you doing? And I really couldn't necessarily answer that. In terms of like stability, in terms of, financials, yeah, I'm in a lot better place, even though I'm in the state of Illinois and they increased the income tax like 37% over the last couple days. That sort of sucks. But I'm in a place where, okay, I'm making a steady living. There isn't problems in terms of my personal portion of it. So, okay, that's a good thing. Am I necessarily enjoying what I'm doing? Yes and no. I do like the fact that I'm in control of things, that they trust me, that the people that I'm working with seem to actually want to teach me and are actually listening to me. It's just not necessarily what I wanted to do with my skill set. Again, when you compare it to playing video games and telling you guys about the strengths of video games and encouraging people to purchase a game, I'm sorry, it can't compare. Yes, it's probably better for society for what I'm doing, aka I'm making sure that people in a classroom are getting the right amount of heat so that they're not freezing to death or not, suffocating to death because they are like wanting water because it's 100 degrees in the building. I will say I am less stressed. I mean, in terms of trying to make the YouTube thing work, I was a nervous wreck at times because, hey, guess what? That's what pretty much every YouTuber who does this for a living is in a state of. Except even the bigger ones like the Fine Brothers and things like that. From what I've heard and what I've talked about, yeah, things could just drop out at any moment. You could have a situation like JonTron where a bunch of advertisers want to avoid you because of some, stream you went on or some controversy that people have. So it's a stressful kind of job. And I admit that in terms of my mental health, this seems to be a lot better for me. With that said, I can't sit here and tell you guys that I can necessarily separate the work at work with the work that I'm doing on this channel. I think about it all the time. Hell, I write notes when things come up in my head while I'm at work. So that to me is a little bit of a conflict, and I don't know what to necessarily do with that, but I think that can be healthy in some ways. The one thing that I do not enjoy, however, in terms of this sort of new situation that I'm in, is the deadlines that I set for myself. The Cryptarch review, for example, was supposed to happen before I did the review for Danganronpa Another Episode. And then I delayed it. And then I said, okay, I'll try to do it this week. I'll try to get it done for Monday. No, that wasn't going to happen. I just said, okay, enough. I need some break time. Let me take the weekend off. And then I'm like, okay, I will get it done for this Friday when this video comes up. And again, with other things going on, I just never got to it. And I kept on saying that on social media. Okay, I'll get it done by this day. I've got to be more careful about that. And I realized that, and yet I kept on doing it. I think I just got to get a lot better at scheduling. And I think understanding that, hey, the way that I'm going about reviews now, yeah, I may not be the first, but I can get my audience, the audience that have subbed to this channel, and get those people the information that they need in a reasonable time frame. Yeah, I think that is a good idea. Yes, the Persona 5, probably a little bit too late on that one, but even things like Neko Navy, yeah, I got it done on the first day, and I did it in a reasonable time frame. I wasn't stressing. I wasn't trying to get it out by a certain time. Yeah, I woke up at 4 and tried to finish some of the editing, but that was okay. And one thing I think I need to be a little bit more involved in is finding the fun stories and the fun things in terms of the gaming world and the world in general, especially on social media. Oh God, such the back and forth with things like the CNN and Trump thing. and just seeing so many people bite into a narrative even though they haven't done any sort of research whatsoever, and believing things that are proven to be false, and me just sort of infuriated as just seeing all this misinformation back and forth, and me wanting to jump in, and then realizing that, you know what, maybe it's time I take a step back and, you know, go find something that makes me a lot more happy. Because, you know, 30 minutes on social media, even if you're looking at it 5 minutes at a time, it can just sort of drive you absolutely insane. It's necessary to be a YouTuber. It's necessary to promote your work. It's necessary to interact with people. But with that said, there's a certain point where you gotta say, okay, enough is enough. Oh, and by the way, I think that's a reasonable video in terms of an update on the channel, but if you have any specific questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll directly answer them. I won't do a Q&A video this time. I'll just directly answer any questions in question. And of course, there's the giveaway. Leave those comments in the comment section below. Again, this is Dragnix, and I'm signing out, and thank you again for watching this channel, subscribing to this channel, and all that jazz. And as always, keep on gaming. Later.